that leads us to the next team in our rundown, which is the Dallas Mavericks. This one's really fun. Over under 47.5. There's a 48.5 in the market. Dallas is really interesting to me. I initially started betting Dallas to win the division. I have them in parlays. I have Dallas winning the division in parlays. I actually think that Dallas should probably be the favorite in this division. Like, this to me is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Grizzlies, Dallas Cowboys, if we're putting it in division terms, where, and I wouldn't be surprised by the start of the season if those actually wind up flipped. I still think there's value on Dallas. I don't love the number. This is another where if I'm going to bet it, I want to bet the division only, which it's not as good of a number as the Pelicans because the swing in it is very, very high. The other way to look at this, honestly, is if you want to bet the over, just bet Luka to win MVP. Like if they wind up winning 53 games and they're a 2 seed, there's a very good chance that Luka is the most valuable player in the league, and you still can get him at plus 400 to plus 500 in the market. There's still those kind of numbers that are staying out there. We talked about that in the MVP episode. You can talk about that. We'll talk about more closer to the episode. Mavericks right now are only plus 125 at DraftKings to win the division. So you're not getting the kind of return on the Pelicans, which is why I started betting more on the Pelicans to win the division because the return is so much better. But I will tell you, Brandon, like I put Mavericks and Pelicans same tier. I think those are equal tier teams. I think there is an overestimation of the loss of Jalen Brunson. Not in terms of, because this I think is a real recency bias thing. I'm curious as your thoughts on this. My idea is everyone's acting like, look at what Jalen did for them last year, and taking last year as the only scope of the universe versus the entire span of the last 3 years of who Jalen Brunson has been and who the Mavericks have been, while also ignoring what Luka's season looked like, which was not great last season. Does that logic check out to you?
Yeah, I think I'm in a similar spot with the logic on this one. I agree that Jalen Brunson, we saw how good he was in the playoffs, especially the first couple of games without Luka. We saw how Brunson was really good. Knicks fans, he was really good. Congratulations, you got your guy. I think Jalen Brunson's loss to this team is overstated also. They added Spencer Dinwiddie. They're going to get him for the whole season. We'll see how it holds up. He doesn't always, he tends to wear out his welcome, as we know with these teams, but seemed like a pretty good fit there. By a lot of the numbers, not what we saw in the postseason, but in the regular season, Dinwiddie, not Brunson, was the more valuable player to this team by a lot of the advanced metrics. So getting more Dinwiddie at the cost of Brunson, sure, you'd rather have both of them, but I think that could be a wash. We had Christian Wood. Christian Wood has a chance to be really good for this team. We've talked a lot about that already on this podcast. So I agree. For me, looking at Dallas, in this division, I think the floor for the 3 teams we've talked about, Dallas and Memphis and New Orleans, I think the ceiling is similar to those teams, but Dallas's floor is much safer and much higher to me for one reason: Luka Doncic. As long as Luka actually plays most of the season, Dallas's floor is safer, which to me is why I agree with you. They should be the division favorite because Luka's floor puts them up in that range. So here's the way I'm looking at this. The line is 47.5. The way that my projection for them sets up, I have them at 46 to 54 wins. So that should be an over, but I don't feel good about it. I feel a little queasy about it because I'm worried about this defense. They're number 6 in defensive rating last year.
Feels unsustainable.
It never made sense. Like, look at the roster. Who are the good defenders on the team? I don't see it. And Christian Wood maybe can be okay, but hasn't been a lot of the time. And even some of the guys, like they're playing Frank Ntilikina and Josh Green a lot of minutes. This year they wanted to play them as much, but those guys are actually good defenders. So better offense, less defense. I don't trust the Jason Kidd and defense part of the floor to go too in on this team. But what do you think about this? For me, because you're not going to want to bet this one, but because I'm so low on Memphis, what I realized is I have Memphis in a totally different tier than New Orleans and Dallas. I have them just a total separate tier below. For me, I have them not top 2 in the division. So I'm doing a Matt play here. Rather than taking my Pelicans plus 410, why not take Pelicans 1 Mavericks 2? Because I don't see the Mavs falling out. I don't see the Mavs falling too far. The Pelicans beat them. They beat them by just a few. So why not take that one at plus 850? And it's a way to get my Pelicans and then have my Memphis cake and eat it too.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And if you're like me and you like playing both sides, I love these bets. I love the 1-2 bets.
You do.
And well, here's the reason is if we bring it into the tiers concept, right? If I'm just like, I don't think Memphis is going to be finished better than New Orleans or Dallas. I don't know who's better between New Orleans or Dallas, but I think it's a 2-team race. And often in these divisions, it is a 2-team race. And so if your prior is right, if our prior is right that Memphis is going to be worse this season, that they're a tier below these two, you can bet Dallas 1, Pels 2 at plus 500. And you can bet Pels 1, Mavs 2 at plus 850. Like, you put one unit on either one of those, and your return is going to be great regardless. And the outcome, like, is you're just saying that bet translates to Memphis, San Antonio, Houston are going to be 3, 4, 5 in some order of the division. Doesn't matter who, just 3, 4, 5. As it gets closer to the season, DK will offer a 1-2 regardless, like top 2 in division at a lower number. And you can just bet that. Right. It'll be approximately even if you don't want to mess with getting both bets in. But for me,
I want to push back on half of what you're saying. I only want half of the bet.
I know.
The Matt, I know the Matt thing is to do the both sides, and you like, and the Brandon thing I know is to take the more aggressive approach. But here's the reason. There's a specific reason for this one. Dallas's floor for me is a top 2 seed in the division. I don't think New Orleans' floor is top 2 seed.
Yeah, that's the difference.
New Orleans could fall out and then they go below Memphis. So I only want the version where New Orleans is 1, Dallas is 2.
But what if we bet New Orleans 1, Dallas 2 plus 850, and then just bet Mavs to win the division and has that as the hedge, and you don't have to worry about the floor for the Pels. You're just saying, like, that essentially says if the Pels win the division, Memphis is 3rd. And if Dallas wins the division, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just not going to be.
Yeah, but the number on Dallas to win the division is nearly 50-50. So now we're taking away all of our profits now. We don't have a good way mathematically to do that one. So I think you either have to do it or not do it. I want to respond to one other thing you said, because I had the same question you did. If you like the Dallas over, if you like Dallas division, shouldn't you just bet Luka? And I actually am not sure. I thought yes, because that's, again, me looking for the longer shot angle that I can do. That's the way I would do this. But the way I have the West set up right now, and because I think there's a definite path for Dallas to win the division and still not be that great, because Memphis just wasn't very good and New Orleans wasn't very good. We've lined up the ways that could happen. So Dallas could win the division like they did last year and be in that 3, 4, 5, 6 range. And historically, that would mean Luka probably is not quite the MVP winner still. So I don't think that's necessarily a slam dunk that if you like the over and the division, to go with Luka MVP. For the most part, Dallas just turns into a stay away for me because they're kind of just in the middle of everything.
I'll just say this. Here's like some more reasons for you to take the over. If you're looking for, like, if you came in this podcast and you're like, I want to bet the Dallas over, and you're like, I'm not convinced, Zion's never healthy, that team can't defend. Okay, fine. If you want, here's what it is. I'm a Christian Wood believer. Here's this is where I'm at with Christian Wood. When Christian Wood's in an environment where he can actually compete and win, he actually does play and does try. He will not be a good defender, but he can be fine. There's a lot of people that are fine if they're in a competitive environment. Christian Wood is not incapable of defense. Christian Wood does not give a shit. Those are two different things. And what happened was when he was with Houston and they started off the season, when it was Harden and they were actually trying, Christian Wood was pretty good. And then Harden was like, I'm out. And that's when Christian Wood was like, well, another tanking season, just like it was in Detroit. Last season, same deal. Christian Wood was like, I'm here for mine. That's toxic. That's terrible. That's not somebody I want on my team. However, Dallas needed a guy. Wood's perfect. He's a pick and pop threat that, honestly, when I watched the Houston stuff, he was the best player last year. He was their most talented player. Locker room cancer. Most talented player. You put him next to Luka and you have both rim gravity and the 3-point threat. He's like, if you like Dwight Powell, and Maxi Kleba made that player athletic and combined them. He can shoot from the outside. He can drive to the rim. Both of those things are good. They have JaVale for regular season rotations. Luka's in Eurobasket right now and in incredible shape right now. They lost tonight to Bosnia. Not great there, but he's in great shape. I can't stress this enough. Luka Doncic does not have a chance to get fat, which is what happens every offseason is he takes off, he goes partying, he comes into camp out of shape and then works himself into shape. It's what's happened the last 3 years. He does not have the opportunity because he's already playing competitive basketball. So for me, that outweighs like a lot of this. That's where my MVP stuff comes in is I think Luka's going to kill it anyway. And a lot of that makes up for if I think that there's a possibility of defensive regression, which I do, Luka makes up for a lot of that. Luka was 46th percentile last year in individual offense, Brandon. Like the numbers on Luka are staggeringly bad relative to his standards, like across the board.
Well, across the board, but only if you include the entire season. If you shake it down to the last like 6 to 8 weeks, he suddenly is in the Jokic, Giannis, and Luka conversation.
But you need him for those early
absolutely.
Right. So here's kind of the thing is if we just think like that player will be around for a full season now with conditioning, that's where we get to.